right, welcome into football, Southern Football Podcast. This is your host Drew and Steve. We're coming to you on a bright, sunny Saturday afternoon here in Birmingham, Alabama, ready to get some football kicked off. The Michigan-Ohio State game's about to kick off as we speak. But of course, we all know what today is about, and that is the Iron Bowl. One of the first times in recent memory, other than 2013, that they've both been ranked inside the top 15. And when they are, it always makes for a dandy of a game.
Yeah, I think today's matchup in Tuscaloosa, excuse me, something interesting that I was looking at earlier this morning, just kind of prepping myself mentally for the game and potential heartache. Yeah, something that's interesting is that Auburn has actually combined for averaging 36 points a game the last two trips into Tuscaloosa.
I saw that. So they had the 44-point game 2 years ago, and then 27?
28.
28. 28.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, it's 28. 27.
So yeah, really interesting that every time they go, they seem to put up points down in T-Town. And something else that I thought was interesting is, or at least to keep our eyes on, we know that Petway's back today. And one thing that Alabama has seemed to struggle with a little bit is stopping that up the middle run.
Yeah.
So we saw Ole Miss run on Alabama pretty well. Arkansas was able to run on Alabama. So the SEC West, with the exception of LSU, which we'll talk more about in a minute, has been able to really move the ball on the ground against Alabama's defense. Which is a little more surprising than I would have thought, because I thought if there were going to be any question marks, it would have been in the secondary, which we're still giving up some of those bigger pass plays. But
Right.
Interesting that on the ground, Alabama's front four, really front eight, I guess, if you want to throw in the linebacker core, seems to be pretty vulnerable sometimes.
Yeah, for me, it sort of depends on how healthy Petway actually is. I mean, like, Gus hasn't put a percentage on it. He's at 80%, 90%, or anything like that. That tends to make me think he's closer towards 100%. But I guess we'll see. But you're right. He's definitely the type of runner that gives Alabama problems as far as just like getting the ball and going. Sort of like what Trey Mason did a few years ago. They haven't really had anybody that's had that burst since Mason. But it's going to be interesting to see, because like Alabama, like you said, Alabama's secondary sort of can be. Just watching the Ole Miss and Arkansas games, they can be had over the top. They don't give up stuff in the middle of the field, but they're vulnerable in spots. Not very often though. So you have to take advantage of their mistakes.
Yeah, should be. I think that is what it comes down to for Alabama. I think that the tale of this game is going to be more of, I don't want to say if, but I think more of when Alabama does make a mistake on the defensive side, is Auburn going to be able to capitalize? And I think if they are, it's going to come down to the wire, come down to the last 30 seconds of the game. If Auburn, if Auburn can't seem to take advantage of those opportunities, I look for it to be a long day in Tuscaloosa for the Tigers.
That's what, when Auburn has beaten them, the last couple of times, it has been on mistakes like that. Like if you remember 3 years ago, Nick Marshall had the long touchdown run. That was because the guy was out of position. And then the pop pass, they misjudged whether Marshall was going to run or keep the ball. Just stuff like that. But you've got to capitalize on that. Otherwise, you have no chance at beating them.
So I guess maybe we'll save score predictions for the end. Something I do want to talk about, which will kind of lead us down the road a little bit here. But you were mentioning that there is something that's going to be fun, I think, in the Iron Bowl this year is, like you were saying, the quality of coaching that's out there on the field.
Yeah.
This is really shaping up to be one hell of a chess match.
Oh, yeah. That's, what we were talking about just a minute ago. There's six Broyles Award winners / finalists and or coaches of the year on staff. So you got Saban and Gus have both won Coach of the Year at least once each. Kevin Steele's a Broyles Award finalist this year. Of course, Lane Kiffin on the other side has been, as well as Jeremy Pruitt, I believe, has been. And Rhett Lashley was his first year in Auburn. So, that's really impressive. There's not many staffs that can say they have all of their coordinators and head coaches in that spot. So.
No, and especially with the landscape right now going on in the coaching world, it's going to be interesting to see. We know that Alabama's been this way under Nick Saban, but it's really exciting to see the potential of all these coaches to now go out on their own and make a name for themselves as head coaches.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's going to be fun all around today. I think there's, I think Alabama needs to minimize mistakes, giving up the big play on defense,
right?
And I think more than anything else on the offensive side of the ball, I think we just need to be. We just need to. What I would like to see us do is, if we find something that's working, stick with it until it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
You know, if we're all of a sudden gashing out 8, 9, 10-yard runs, let's just keep hammering the football.
There's no need to get cute.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've really questioned so far this year with Kiffin. And again, I mean, the guy's an offensive coordinator at a major university. I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than he is at calling plays.
Sure.
It's just the only thing that does puzzle me is it seems like we'll have a lot of success doing something, and then out of nowhere in the middle of a drive, try something completely different.
Right.
And it's just, I guess maybe I just don't understand that. I mean, that's where maybe my, armchair coaching,
Yeah,
just
right.
I don't understand.
Everybody does the same, and it's baffling because, like you said, everybody does the same thing. It's, they'll go away from what's working in an effort to, I guess, keep the opponent off balance, as they say, to borrow a sports cliche. But,
Sure.
That's the only explanation I can think of for it.
Yeah.
They're afraid the opponent's going to sell out to stop one thing, whether the run or the pass or whatever, and so they try to.
But
do something
great if
else.
they do, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're Kiffin and you're calling the plays, and the other team starts selling out to stop the run, that's when you go to the pass. Don't just randomly.
It's a preemptive strike.
Exactly. It's like,
I'm anticipating they're going to sell it to stop the run here.
Yeah.
So let's try to air it out some. No, I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense, but.
Well, again,
whatever.
what do we know?
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, obviously I think everybody is up to speed this week with some of the mayhem. First, let's talk about Texas, and then I want to give you my thoughts on really what I would consider. I would say 3-ring circus at LSU, but I don't think that gives it enough rings.
Right.
So anyway, big news out of the Texas camp this morning.
Yeah, Tom Herman has officially been named as the Texas head coach. It was sort of weird. Like it was almost like they were waiting to see what Tom Herman was going to do, because he had initially been reported as accepting the LSU job. So athletic director Joe Oliva came out at LSU and said, no, that's not the case. We haven't had contact with him or nothing like that. And then it was reported that Charlie Strong had not been fired, when it was initially reported that he had been, and it was just a cluster of
starting
epic proportions. So
Thursday night.
yeah.
During that LSU Texas A&M game, this last 2.5 days has been by far that I've seen the biggest just screw up.
Yeah.
From top to bottom in two programs at both Texas and LSU, with just it's like these athletic directors are getting up in front of people at a press conference and just drooling in front of the microphone.
Right.
Like, it's just how bad, how dumb can you be, and how bad can you screw the pooch on a situation? I mean, it really is just beyond terrible. I mean, you got to feel for a guy like Charlie Strong, again, this is just but the guy's he probably knows he's going to be fired at the end of the year, right? Like, he can't think that he's going to come back.
Yeah,
Still. Yeah. There's still one more week of football.
Yeah,
and you're sitting here hanging this guy out to dry.
I know you're right. And you could tell if you watched his post-game pressers after about week 8, he was just shot. Like, his confidence and everything, he was just, I don't know, I haven't been told anything.
Yeah,
Stuff
and
like
shocker,
that.
they go out and lose
right.
to 1-9 Kansas.
And they get blown out by a pretty average TCU team on Thanksgiving night. I mean,
yeah.
That's
terrible.
And I mean, that's just distractions all over the place. And I mean, to be honest with you, man, I think he was in over his head from day one at a place like Texas. A place like that, you got to deal with a lot of other stuff outside of just the football field. There's places like that: Texas, Notre Dame, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State. There's some places that just not everybody can win. They've had good football coaches that went there and lost, huge lost.
I don't think anybody's thinks that Charlie Strong isn't a competent coach.
Yeah.
Obviously, the guy knows what he's doing, but I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there's so much you've got to deal with, especially at a place like Texas where there's so much money involved with the program, with the Longhorn Network and all these different things, right? You have a massive amount of off-the-field stuff to deal with that's not even football related.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you've got to
You're
literally talk and manage boosters and
right.
all this stuff, and I think not only is he in over his head, but honestly, I mean, like you said, I mean, you get halfway through the season, the guy's set up to fail.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, I don't really know. I mean, following this whole Tom Herman thing, right? Week 1, week 2, week 3 of the season, this guy is the hottest thing since sliced bread. I mean, this dude is iPhone 3GS release. You know what I mean? This dude is huge. And as Donald Trump, huge. He's huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy goes out, loses I mean, okay, the first couple of losses, I get it, man. You played some good teams. Bro, dude goes out and loses to Memphis.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean,
Memphis.
yeah.
I mean, look, Memphis, hey, I'm not trying to dog on you. I'm not trying to say you're bad people, even though I would never unlock my car and get out in Memphis.
They have D'Angelo Williams and Paxton Lynch.
Yeah,
so
I
they
mean,
came out of there. So,
you know,
so there's that.
but it's like Tom Herman is literally, he is coaching this season, in my mind, strictly to determine the salary he's going to get in 2017.
No, you're right. You're right.
And the dude loses to Memphis.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. I think he sort of. I think he mailed it in about. Honestly, after that Oklahoma game, I think the first game of this year. I mean, I think we haven't seen really what him put really put forth the effort, put in a game plan, stuff like that, like we did a year ago.
Yeah.
Now that's when you got Tom Herman at his best. But
do you think that's because from the start of the season with, excuse me, what was going on at LSU, Auburn, then Texas halfway through? Do you think he just knows he's going to get
which one of these jobs do I want?
Right.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
troubling.
I honestly, man, I don't know that he's that big of an upgrade over Charlie Strong. Just in terms of program management and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing. The stuff we just talked about with Charlie Strong maybe not being ready or equipped to handle at a place like Texas. What gives them the idea that Tom Herman's going to be capable to do that?
I don't know, man. Like, at a place like that, I've always thought you've got to have a strong-willed guy, a Jim Tressel, a Nick Saban,
Urban Meyer,
Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Maybe even Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, even though they've lost a lot of games this year. But I mean, you've got to have a guy like that can, grab the boosters by the balls and say, "Hey, this is my ship. I'm running this."
Not a guy who knows he's going to get a job somewhere else, and literally is phoning it in from the sidelines, seemingly in 2016. Yeah, Tom Herman, we're calling you out, man. Like, I'm sorry, dude, but it's what you've done this year at Houston. You should be embarrassed.
Well, and also, you've got to. I've always been weary of a guy that comes in and has like lightning in a bottle top success with somebody else's guys. That's
a great
really
point.
That's really what his whole resume is built on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with winning quick.
Oh, and guess what?
But
guess what's going to happen when he gets to Texas? He's going to do it again because Charlie Strong has been playing nothing but freshmen and sophomores this year. So these guys at Texas coming into the 2017 season are going to be sophomores and juniors. They've got good playing time under their belt. Most of these guys putting in 30, 40 minutes a game. Yeah. And now Tom Herman's going to have the helm in arguably a weaker division maybe than it has been in the past, right? You're going to have to go through Oklahoma at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to
have to play TCU, Texas Tech, and all that.
Baylor,
but I mean, it's not like David and Goliath, right? When he's at Houston, it's kind of a David and Goliath situation.
True.
I mean, but let's be honest. I mean, Texas is not in a division comparable to, let's say, like the SEC West.
Right.
They're just not. So the guy's going to get players who've had a lot of game time, who know a system that arguably Houston and Texas didn't run that different of an offense this year.
They ran the up tempo. I mean, they ran a lot of stuff like Baylor runs, and I mean that's sort of Big 12 football.
I think I will be extremely surprised if Tom Herman is the coach in 2020 at Texas.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, I mean, basically, based on what you're saying, we won't see the effects of this until probably 2018,
19. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the other thing with Herman is that, I feel like when he gets to Texas, he's going to be 1 or 2 injuries away from a 4 to 5 win season in 2017.
Possibly. I mean, I like their quarterback a lot, Bichelle. We talked about him on the first episode, actually.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, if, say he gets hurt or they have, early draft departures, that running back they've got's a beast. He's leading the nation in rushing, actually.
Yeah, and like you just mentioned, though, most likely going to go out after junior year.
Yeah, I mean, so what little success Texas has had is sort of on his shoulders. But
so now let's move a few miles in a desert east and go to Louisiana and talk about. I mean, dude, this has been an all-out, in my opinion, PR media catastrophe for the Bayou Bengals. And
absolutely.
If I'm an LSU alum or board of trustees or whatever, I'm sorry, leave it. You got to go, man. This is the second time that he has put them in this position and just botched a coaching hire.
No, you're right. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this stuff gets leaked. I've always wondered about that from athletic directors or whatever. Like, are they not supposed to be the only ones that have contact with coaches and other athletic directors?
That was my understanding. But during the LSU A&M game, it's coming out via Twitter.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, apparently, I can't remember the ESPN analyst that apparently.
I think it was McMurphy.
McMurphy. So who had high ups?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was doing air quotes. So I realized nobody can see that. Who reports that he has high ups within the Texas program, telling him that Tom Herman is going to take the LSU job instead of the Texas job. And it's like the second quarter, and they start scrolling across the screen on ESPN while the LSU game is going on. That Orgeron's not going to be the coach.
To be honest with you, part of that is on irresponsible reporting by ESPN, which we'll touch on later.
Yeah,
but no, you're right. I mean, like the fact that they were privy to that information at all is a big problem. Within the athletic department there. I mean, that's we all sort of know that boosters do. Do the putting out feelers thing. That's where you contact, sort of indirectly contact a coach or his agent.
Yeah. Somebody has dinner somewhere with somebody and happens to mention,
hey,
how would you like to live in this city?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's we've seen it both at Auburn and Alabama with that stuff. I mean, that's it'll come out that so and so's been fired or whatever, and so's in the talks to replace him. 6 games into the season. But,
well, let's have a shot at it. Let's do it on our show here. You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. Today, before the Iron Bowl, the University of Alabama will march into the stadium on elephants. Auburn will be on tigers. You heard it first here. All right, we'll look to see that scrolling across the screen on ESPN within the hour.
Yeah.
As their top notch. I mean, seriously, like you're sitting there. It's a big rivalry game on ESPN on Thanksgiving. You don't think that maybe you should verify that somehow before you start reporting that?
Well, the problem is they can't verify it because they're not going to talk to the athletic director, or they can't talk to the athletic director, rather. He's not going to talk to them.
So, I mean, do you think it's this mentality of like, if you ain't first, you're last to the news story?
It's gotcha journalism, and that really sucks because I was a journalism major at Auburn, and I mean that's one thing, and I know this wasn't that long ago, maybe 10 years ago or so, but I mean that's one thing we were told absolutely not. No matter what, you absolutely verify everything you report. So, but I mean that's just gone out the window here in the last like 5 years or so. That's really gone down the hill.
No, it's frustrating. And the people, in my mind, the biggest losers of the day on Thanksgiving are Charlie Strong and Ed Orgeron.
Yeah.
Because Orgeron's sitting here coaching a game, right? And the dude is literally coaching his heart out to try to win the coaching. He's got Louisiana ties.
That is his 49ers job, you know what I mean, or Dallas Cowboys job.
Yeah, I mean, like the guy clearly wants to come in. He won his first 4 games. Mm-hmm. I mean, so what? One of the losses is to an Alabama team who's number 1 in the country and undefeated? Yeah. The guy's doing a great job for LSU.
Not only that.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, not only that, he did an excellent job, I thought, when Lane Kiffin got fired at LSU, or at USC.
Yeah.
He went 6-2. With a team that was just dead in the water. I mean, anybody that watched him play could see that.
I mean, and what it really, goes to show, like, I mean, he got LSU up for that A&M game on a short week. Got him prepped, got him ready after. I mean, the guy clearly can coach.
Yeah.
He's a good fit at LSU.
Yeah.
And Oliva is out here, like, I mean, all out dumpster fire of a situation. Because, I mean, you're sitting here and it's like, you're Ed Orgeron, you're like, what more can I do for you?
Right. No, you're right.
And he's doing all, and I mean, by God, if nothing else, the guy at least deserved a shot for 1 year. I mean, fine. You don't want to sign him to a 7-year deal? Don't.
Well, that's.
Jesus.
That's one thing that I've always found interesting. Like, to have as much success as the SEC has on the football field, do they not have the most incompetent athletic departments on planet Earth?
Dude, it's maddening. You look at the athletic directors around the conference, I know. And it's just like, you literally just want to bang your head on a wall.
Yeah, you look week after week, and they've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the top 15 teams in the country, and they've got the worst athletic directors in the world. I don't know. I guess that's more the coaches succeeding in spite of their bosses. Which
I mean, really,
that's true in every line of work.
But I mean, the guys that are successful, right, are the ones, like that just come in and are just like, okay, Mr. Athletic Director, you can go ahead and suck your thumb in the corner.
Right, yeah.
I'm going to do this football thing.
The coaches with actual balls that you know that can that have that kind of clout.
So now going into as we'll get ready to finish this year out, LSU will go to a late December bowl game.
I'm going to say probably the Gator Bowl. That's just a guess.
Gator Bowl. Is Cotton Bowl off the table, we think? Cotton Bowl, maybe?
I wouldn't say anything's off the table. I mean, as far as those type bowls.
So, I mean, Coach O is going to go in. He's, again, got a great resume this year. By just dumb luck, Joe Oliva has not pissed him off to the point where he just says, you know what, F you, I'm out.
That's what, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, he's a sort of crazy guy. But
he is.
No, I mean, I think he would come back for the players and for the fans that supported him. But I think he would give Joe Oliva a big bird finger if it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, I mean, I think in this situation, somebody at LSU and somebody at Texas is probably losing their job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we think somebody along the way is going to lose their job. Somebody's head is going to roll. I think the best thing for, LSU would for that to be Oliva. I mean, I really do. I mean, I honestly think that look
at their basketball situation too, man. I mean, Johnny Jones is there. Has what Ben Simmons and one other lottery pick last year, and they can't get to postseason play. I mean,
it's unbelievable, man. And I think, again, I mean, I think it's a true testament to, just like you said, I mean, just how incompetent the AD departments are, across the conference. I mean, arguably right now, it seems to be that the only reason Alabama is I think the only reason Alabama isn't in the spotlight is because I think they're just shutting up and being quiet.
Yeah.
We've certainly seen Alabama botch a few things in the past, but I mean, I think right now with what Saban's doing, they're just like, yeah, we're just going to be quiet and shut the door to our office.
You're absolutely right. And you know what? That's why he has no buyout. It's because he can walk away anytime he wants to. And so that is sort of the leverage he has over them. Like, okay, you don't want to do it my way, I'll leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, well, it's going to be really interesting, I think. I mean, I think Orgeron is a good fit for LSU.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's
the only question mark I have is do you see Coach O going undefeated at LSU?
Undefeated, probably not. But I mean,
do you think he could be a one-loss LSU getting to Atlanta consistently?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you say consistently, you've got
I mean, once every 4 to 5 years.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the run that Saban's on is unrealistic.
Also, there that get there about every. Auburn gets there about every 3 or 4 years, and so. But I mean, every 3 to 4 to 5 years is reasonable. I mean, that's.
And you're happy with that as an LSU fan, right? I mean, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I don't know how you couldn't be happy.
Yeah, I mean, how many times recently has Les Miles been to Atlanta?
That's what I'm saying. He's been there in 11, 7, and 05. So he got there 3 times. So that's.
He was the coach. He was there in 05. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it was his first year there. Now, granted, that was with Nick Saban's roster, but I mean, he did get there.
He was the coach at the helm during the season, so good on him.
So, but I mean, so that's about every 4 years. That's a reasonable expectation, I think.
Well, we will we'll stay tuned and see what the next days and weeks hold for LSU. I think I get the feeling they're going to be naming an interim AD somewhere along the way here pretty soon. But something else I wanted you to weigh in on. We were talking about it before we started the show. I woke up today and still coming out of what seems to be a turkey-induced coma. But one of the things I love on the Iron Bowl is I love getting up and I love watching just sports. I love seeing kind of these behind-the-scenes stories, these stories about players, with Alabama and Auburn, like the history of the rivalry and all that. So what do I do in my idiocy? I decided to turn it on ESPN Game Day, which is, at this point, I said it was a bad move when they did it, going from backing it up another hour to start at 8 a.m., 3 hours of game day. And it already was struggling, right? Like, what are these guys going to talk about for 3 hours?
Yeah, and they go 4.
Dude, it's so bad. It is. I mean, I used to love watching Game Day. Now, I didn't even have any interest in watching them pick anything. I mean, it's just, it's so, like, and then to top it off, you have this, like, like you're sitting around waiting for the picks and waiting for them to go through the day's big games and all that, and then you get to Lee Corso, who spends 15 minutes going back. Oh, am I going to pick this head or this head? This head or this head?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm going to put this one on, and then I'm going to take it off and put the other one on. Like, dude, nobody cares that much. Like,
Yeah.
like
No,
it's
you're
just,
right. You're right.
it's terrible. Like, the show is not good. It's not good.
You know, I don't know where the phrase "less is more" died, but I mean, I honestly, like, I think it should be a 1 hour show
Yes.
in the morning. You know, starting at 10 Central, 11 Eastern, and
Dude, here's my
just-
opinion. You look at you do it in 15-minute blocks.
Yeah.
First 15 minutes, look at any big games going on in like ACC and SEC. You do a second 15-minute block with anything going on Big 10, Big 12.
Midwest, yeah.
And then you spend the third 15 minutes going on the
Pacific.
West
Yeah,
Coast games,
sure.
and then you spend the last 15 minutes going through some picks.
yeah.
I mean, like, I just don't understand how anybody, a grown adult, can sit down and watch that garbage for 3 hours.
You know what I did this morning?
so bad.
I started watching it, like you did. I mean, 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever. And then I put in NBA 2K17 and played about 2 solo challenges.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, now I can get on with the rest of my day.
Dude,
Because-
here's what I chose this morning, and you saw the remnants as you got to my house. I literally, this is how bad game day has gotten. I chose after 20 minutes to turn that off, go on HBO Go, and watch Gods of Egypt, and put together a new vacuum. Like, that's what I did instead of
So that's why
watching
the vacuum
game day.
still had the tags and stuff on it. That makes sense. Okay.
I mean,
but I would rather do that. I would rather probably, I don't know, have bamboo shoot shoved up my
So
fingernails.
like
I mean,
one
I don't.
of our one of my wife's good friends is having a baby. I helped her make a diaper cake. Like, dude, I literally I could do anything but watch Game Day this morning.
Yeah.
It's so, and especially like you mentioned, there's so much better programming.
Yeah.
Like FS1.
Yeah, I mean FS1
anything.
with. I mean, it's really the the personalities that they have. Really, I mean, but honestly, they've poached a lot of ESPN's quality personalities like Skip Bayless. Rob Parker's on there, great sports writer out of Detroit. I mean, the list goes on and on. They've got Clay Travis, who's sort of an edgier guy. I mean, their programming is just better. Period. Shannon Sharp's on there, and I mean, their college. I mean, it has guys that actually played ball when people our age were in college, like Matt Leinart.
Yeah.
I mean, that actually know the game in its current state.
No, I mean, it's just like Lee Corso is. I mean, I'm not trying to be callous about it,
Oh,
but
sure, yeah.
Lee Corso needs to be put out to pasture. I
mean,
it's time for Lee to go the way of Old Yeller.
Honestly, man, I thought he was when he had this really emotional speech at the ESPYs like 4 years ago.
That's what I
thought.
thought.
But that was 4 years ago.
He's still here.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, I mean, he's got to be wearing adult diapers by now, right? Like,
know.
for God's sakes, get the guy off the air.
Honestly, man, it's like your drunk uncle saying, "Okay, this is my last Christmas here. I'm going to leave you guys alone," and then he keeps coming back. It's
Yeah, like he just dude, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe he's just a charity case right now. Like, maybe he's not
Maybe.
even getting
I
a
don't know.
paycheck. Like, maybe he just shows up and every Saturday they're like, God, how does he keep finding out where we're gonna be? Like, you know?
Well, if they don't have the heart to tell him to just go away.
Oh, it's like The
Yeah.
Office Space. They just stop giving him a paycheck and he just keeps showing up.
Yeah, we just sort of we fixed the glitch, so he won't be getting a paycheck. So the problem will just sort of naturally take care of himself. But he keeps showing back up to work, so they let him clear out roaches and stuff like that.
I mean, it's just. I mean, but dude, they've got to do something, man. Because I would be real curious to see what the viewership ratings are like now for. Like, honestly, I guarantee you this: if you put cameras in homes across America, I guarantee you half the TVs that are on game day, nobody's even watching it. It's just on in the background as
you're
white
right.
noise.
No, I mean that's what you do when you're like if you're getting ready to have friends over or something like that. You'll like put game day on in the background just to have something to sort of fill the air. I guess.
I mean, it became gimmicky, right? Like it became more about who
Yeah.
can show up with a goofy sign,
no, you're
who
right.
can show
you're
up and wave a flag.
Oh, and the Washington State flag. I mean, it's like
Oh, it travels around between all the
I know.
alumni.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, news to the Washington State alumni and fan base: until you win a national championship, nobody cares.
Right. I do love Mike Leach, though.
He's a good coach. I'm just saying, like, you're not the greatest thing
he
since
doesn't have
sliced
anything to
bread.
do with the flag. I mean, it's
No,
just,
I know, but it's like you're like, whatever, man. I mean, I don't know. It's like all the Kentucky fans camping out for a week to go to like the practice for the basketball game. It's like,
oh, good Lord.
I get it.
Yeah.
Your football team sucks. You have nothing else to do in Kentucky, but I mean, grow up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I don't
you're
know,
right.
man. We'll see if game day manages to
Yeah.
save itself eventually.
Man, the Kentucky basketball program to me sort of jumped the shark when they went on that international tour like 2 years ago.
Oh,
when they
yeah.
played in the international
Yeah.
teams. But anyway, that's a talk for another episode when we start covering college basketball. So that'll be that's something to look at. So
Wait, there's college basketball? I didn't even know that season started until I thought it started in March. I didn't even know. But well, I tell you what, man, let's I've got something very special that we can finish out with, but of course we've got to give score predictions for the Iron Bowl before we say goodbye.
All right, I'm gonna give a little background on mine. Okay, first I'm gonna give the score right now. Okay, I'm gonna say 24-13. I think Auburn keeps it close, really the whole game. But I don't see any way they can consistently score on them. Like I said, I think they'll take advantage of an Alabama mistake probably early. And, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 7 or even 10-0. But I mean, the better team is going to win. That's unfortunately for me, that's Alabama. So, but I don't think we'll play a terrible game or anything like that. So,
I think I'm going a little higher in the score. I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be a little bit more points. I think Petway does have a good day in the first half. I think the lack of being 100%. I think he's honestly probably at about 80-85. Which for the Auburn Tigers is better than anything else they got in the stable.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I think Petway has a big first half. I think he starts to physically just break down. I mean, let's be honest. If he runs up the middle, he's going to take some big shots from some big guys.
He is, and 5 weeks ago that wouldn't have been a problem. But
Yeah.
now, I mean, yeah.
I think honestly, it's not going to surprise me if Bama goes into halftime down 17-10. Something like that, but
yeah.
I think we finish up. I think we finish up 37-24, 37-28, somewhere in there.
Comparable differentials then.
Yeah,
So,
I think a little bit higher scoring. I do agree with you. At the end of the day, I think Bama is just going to be a little too much for Auburn to handle
That's
today.
what. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's just the attrition, or attrition in terms of health and stuff like that. So, I don't know. But anyway, so we're gonna leave you with a quick song, and War Eagle.
Roll Tide.
Is crying in his Confederate handkerchief. Colonel Reb is crying. He needs some real relief. He asked Coach Orgeron, can you save us from this dread? Coach O rips his shirt off, and this is what he says. Football. Football. Colonel Reb is crying. He asks when things will change. Coach O rips his shirt off again and then says something strange. Brent Schaefer. Wild boys. Colonel Reb is crying. Could the cupboard be that bare? Coach O rips his shirt off, and this is what he